Hello and welcome, Cheesers, to another HRL history episode. This one, not gonna lie, I might have done one similar to this before, so I'm hopefully gonna make this one a little bit different than the other one. I know I definitely did one on World of Outlaw before, but with us trying to do a bit of World of Outlaw action on MCC again, and trying to come back to some of these tracks and forge them as well. I wanted to do this partially for myself, so if I end up working on any of these tracks, I can go through and just like quick reference this video, get a lap or two on some of these tracks, get a look at them, because I want to make some new tracks, but I'm sure there'll be some remakes in there as well, or at least like inspired by type reimagining type things. I love that the channel rewards work even when I'm offline. That's a power that I'm going to try not to abuse here. That's pretty great though. So let's start off with the first one. So the first one here, and this is actually the first race that we did in the series ever, is, okay, just making sure the audio is alright, is Watertown Raceway. So let's take a look at some laps on this one. So again, I might have done a video like this with World of Outlaw, but it was more so like focused on how the series went, the rules and stuff like that. Different like races for it. The focus of this one is like particularly because, again, I might go through and remake some of these tracks. I wanna take a look at these and like kind of focus on that. Just focus on the tracks. So for Watertown Raceway here, and it looks like there's probably a caution or something because we had somebody quit. We had me stop. Let's get a good like clean lap. Let's watch like a good clean lap. Something. There we go. Well, I was a little rogue. All right, so this track. So it looks like the lines. It's hard to tell. Guessing from me watching here and not having watched the entire race. I mean, the inside's got to be pretty decent here. It looks like this is a typical 3 degrees of banking, you know, like so much banking on the inside, a little bit more in the middle, a little bit more on the outside, which is a pretty typical style for a lot of ovals that are made, and especially a lot of ovals that I make. That inside bordering is definitely a little questionable. If I decide to remake this one or make a track similar to this, definitely going to have to make that a little bit better. That was definitely a little questionable. But yeah, it looks like the way I made the turns is definitely a little bit different with this one. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like I used one block and then used another one to kind of like smoothen out the turns a little bit, something. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's get to the end here. Maybe we get like a photo finish or something. This is like a last restart or something. But yeah, so it looks like the straightaways have a little bit of banking too. Maybe like 5 degrees or something like that, 5-10 or so. So like slight bank straightaways. You know, maybe like I would say this is a bit bigger than a short track. I wouldn't call this a short track. We'll call this a medium track. Oh, is this the Outlaw sign? Did we rename this? Maybe. Was this a track that was something else, and then maybe we changed the name to something more like World of Outlaw-y? If that makes sense, because we usually did like more like real life sounding track names, whereas like not everybody else did that. So maybe I didn't make this one. Maybe it was just like a change in the name to make it like fit the series better. I'm not sure. Now I'm confused. Now nothing makes sense. I thought I made this. Now I don't think I made this track. What the hell? All right, well that's a weird start. But anyways, interesting track there with Watertown. Let's take a look at another one. It's a beautiful. Oh, so I know this one. What? Oh, Matt making a call about dumping dead in the wall. All right, let's watch that. Let's watch that real quick. Let's take a break from the HRL history. Oh yeah, it definitely looked like there's something there. So I don't remember what this one's called. I want to say this might be another one where it was like an ORL track or something, and like we changed up the name to make it like fit the series better. I'm not quite sure on that. I want to say that this is one of those too. But this track is quite interesting. Whatever it's called, I could definitely see us racing this one again as well. What makes this track unique is that it has a really tight turn 1 and 2. The banking is pretty high. Like, this track's got some pretty intense banking, especially this turn 1 and 2. I really like turn 1 and 2. That's my favorite part of this track that I can remember. So really high banking. And turn 1 and 2 is extremely tight. Turn 3 and 4 is a little bit different, more wide open, definitely a longer turn. So that's what makes this track interesting. And as you can see, the banking, there's a lot more variance, it looks like, on the banking too in turns 1 and 2. Like, it does get pretty flat at the bottom, but at the same time, it's got... I wonder if it's the same piece. It kind of looks like the Whitewater Rapids banking a little bit. I mean, obviously, it's harder to tell because the turns are so much, or that turn in particular is so much tighter. It might be the same object because it looks very similar now that I look at it to Whitewater Rapids, so that's interesting. Whitewater Rapids, of course, being the track that we just raced on MCC in the grand final and that we will be racing again, will be the closing track again. But yeah, so this track, another track that we could look at to try to make what makes it unique again. The variance in the banking here and just this corner being a lot tighter and this corner being a lot wider. I like that. That's something that you'll see in real life tracks as well with ovals. It's not always like a perfect, it's not always a perfect shape. I've definitely seen quite a few oval tracks in my day where it'll be something like this, where one of the turns is a lot tighter than the other one and they mix it up a little bit like that. So pretty cool. I generally like those types of tracks in real life. I liked it here in Halo. This is a cool track. So yeah, another interesting one. So that's the HRL history then today, I guess, is just a little track deep dive. Again, definitely, mainly doing this to help myself out with these remakes. But this one, I'd have to look up the schedule to remember the name of this one. To help out with it, I might, if I remember, I'll post the schedule, like the old schedules in the comments, if I don't know the names of some of these. This one I definitely made because this was early in my Forge. I'm pretty sure I did. I hope I did because I'm getting tired of thinking that I did. Because this is definitely earlier in my Forge career. You'll see a difference once we get to some of the later ones that I made. Like this one is definitely so much worse than some of the other. Some of the other ones, the later ones that I made, are actually pretty good, I think. But this one's just terrible. I think this one actually has potential. The banking is just look at the banking, dude. It's just so high, it's ridiculous. And then the transition, like the banking into the flat, it just doesn't work. It's just not smooth enough. This one's pretty shit, not gonna lie. This one's not great. I might take up trying to make a remake of this or a reimagining of this just to try to like do this idea some justice and see if it can actually be a good track, because yeah, the way this worked out, I mean, this is just not great. This is just not great at all. I'm tired of looking at it. We got to move off of this one. What the hell? All right. That one wasn't great. You don't need, I didn't remember the name of it. You don't need to remember the name of it. That's probably why. That one's terrible. All right, so now we go into this one. I'll take a drink before this one. So this one is actually, well, called Beaver Dam Raceway. This one is, I'm pretty sure Matt made this one, and similar to my last track, I mean, there's definitely a big difference. You can tell that this track was early in Matt's, forging days for Halo 4. Definitely doesn't look the most clean. That being said, for it not looking the most clean, it actually races pretty well. It's quite different. Like the way that the corners run here, it's hard to describe. Maybe it's because he like probably freehand forged a lot of it, but the corners are just like very unique. The only thing that I don't like is that outside banking, doesn't really get utilized too much on 3 and 4. I definitely like 1 and 2 more. 1 and 2 is just like it's tighter than 3 and 4. Obviously, you can tell right here. You can go. You probably go like what 4 or 5 wide at some point in 3 and 4 here. 1 and 2, you can't quite do that. But yeah, I think that like the rough forge and it being like early on in map making maps kind of adds like some character to this track. Like I think there's rough edges around it, but that's kind of what makes it unique. I definitely think, and I think I'm guilty of this too. I definitely think people like forgers try to make things like too perfect, but in reality, that's not how tracks that are raced in real life or even in racing games that like imitate real life tracks are made, right? There's usually like little bumps you got to find out and stuff like that. Especially like look at well, I know they just pretty sure they just like repaved it, but pre-repave or whatever they did Atlanta Motor Speedway in NASCAR, like look at that track. Like that track, so much like there's so much bumpiness to it. There's just like a lot of character to it, but it ends up being like one of the more unique tracks. Like a lot of people in NASCAR don't really like those 1.5 mile tracks, but that old Atlanta was a track that a lot of people liked, and I think part of it is because of that. It's not like a cookie cutter. That's what gets used a lot. It's not like a cookie cutter 1.5 mile track. It's got a lot of those bumps. It's a little bit unique with the way the turns, like the turns feel a little bit different. And it adds a lot of character to the track, right? And that's something that I think with Halo, with racetracks in Halo, and again, I think I'm guilty of this too at times, is, you know, they try to make, like, let's get the coordinates right, let's get this perfectly even, let's get this perfectly symmetrical, shit like that, and, you know, just make it too perfect, when in reality, in real life, a lot of times people don't make it perfect, and there's mistakes, and also, like, things evolve over time, whether they've been taken care of properly or whatever. Especially with dirt tracks as well. Obviously, dirt tracks, like, depending on how the track was prepped or whatever, I mean, those are going to feel a little bit different every time you go on them. My point is, imperfections in Forge are underrated. It's not necessarily, especially for racetracks, it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, stuff like that can really add a lot of character and make things, make tracks unique. So I think that's something that's, like, kind of like underrated for a lot of forgers. I think there's a lot of forgers that think they're really sick because they make everything so perfect and like how it's supposed to be, but it's for racetracks that's not always the best. A lot of the times I think that's honestly pretty boring, but it's something that I think a lot of people can learn from, and like I said, including myself, I think it's something that everybody, like a trap that everybody falls into at some point. But yeah, after that long tangent, the point being, this track is very rough, but it ran very unique. This track felt like, the way the corners ran in this track did not feel similar to any other World of Outlaw track that we ran in Halo 4 in this Halo 4 season. So I still really like it, and I think it'd be, holy shit, what a fucking flip out of, I think that was Justin there, wow. That was incredible. So, it would be cool to try to make, I don't know how you'd go about it, but it would be cool to try to make a remake type track like this, in our series in MCC. I don't know how you'd go about it, but again, you'd have to, like, purposefully try to, like, rough things up, stuff like that, and, you know, try to do it in a way that feels natural but makes the track feel unique. It'd be a tall order. This would be a tough one to reimagine, to remake, but it's definitely one that I would like to see because it was so interesting. This was actually a really fun track. So, and again, if you raced on it, you'd know what I'm talking about. It may be hard to tell just from watching the video, but I'm telling you, this track was actually a lot of fun to race on for some reason. So, there you go. Long tangent for that one, but yeah, I really like this track actually. So, now we're going to go on to the one that I actually wanted to look up specifically for this video. Respell Raceway. So Respell Raceway, speaking of, like, we're going through all these tracks, by the way. One thing that I do like about all these tracks so far is none of them seem like the same track. They all have, like, unique characteristics, and Jared is in this race. Shout out Jared. I see his gamer tag right there. But they all have unique characteristics so far, and that's really cool. I mean, that's you know, something that I think, like, a lot of people find hard to do with the oval tracks, but I think we did a pretty damn good job with it, and we still do. I still feel like we make new ovals that are a little bit different, and that's pretty awesome. So, Respell Raceway. So if you can't figure it out already from watching the video, I think it should be pretty obvious at this point. What makes this track unique is flat track. So World of Outlaw, flat track. That's it. It's flat track. Look at it. Oh, Jared just absolutely destroyed Packers. Wow. But yeah, that's it. It's a flat track. And turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are unique. If you pay close attention to them, both times around, there's, like, little difference. Turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4 are not exactly the same. And the inside bordering on them are not exactly the same too, to reflect that. I believe 1 and 2 is tighter, 3 and 4 is a little bit wider. It actually might be pretty close. No, it might be a little bit wider on exit, but it's pretty close. It's easier to tell when you're running a lap on the track versus here just watching it. But turns, again, 1 and 2 might even be longer. It kind of looks like it to me. It's hard to tell. I really wish I could go back on, like, I need to go back on this track. Yeah, because look at the exit. It might be. This is one of those, yeah, that I'd really want to, like, run a lap on to get a good feel for it, because this one was pretty unique feeling. But yeah, flat track, World of Outlaw. And again, it's one of those things where, like, is it going to be good? Is it going to be good? Is this going to work well? We think it did. If you ask the people that raced this track, I think we raced it twice, I think all of them would, if you brought it up to them, I think all of them would remember it, and I think all of them would look on it fondly. It's a really cool track. and the flat track idea was really unique because it's just not something that gets utilized for normal ovals that often, because in normal ovals it usually doesn't work out that well. But for World of Outlaw, actually not too bad. The flat track actually works pretty well for drifting, as you could imagine. Like, it actually makes a lot of sense. The flat corners are really interesting to drift around. They're very difficult. They're very difficult. Like, without the banking to support you, just like perfectly hitting the apex of the corner and like setting up that momentum, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. And making passes is difficult. Battling is difficult. Like, trying to keep it clean is difficult. It's a hard track. It was a hard track. Pretty interesting. Pretty fun to race. And I want to see this one back. I want to see this one back. I really, really like this track, actually. And yeah, this is one that I definitely want to see in our MCC schedule. Absolutely want to remake this one. So we'll move on from Respell. Speaking of tracks that I absolutely want to remake, this is going to be a line of them. This is going to be a line of them because we're going to go to another one here. Glen Alpine. So not only did Glen Alpine, I'm not sure if it was this first moto. I might have to go back and look into it at some point. Maybe do another HRL history on it. I don't know. I don't remember if it was exactly this first moto. I want to say it was like the third or fourth one. But Glen Alpine, this is a track that I believe I made. It could have been Matt too. I want to say I made this one, but hard call. Now what makes this track unique? Well, already you could tell the ramps, right? The object, the ramps, completely made out of the ramps, and the turns. So if you look at it, this track shares a trait. It's still different. I mean, look at the track. It's still a lot different, but whoa, look at that crossover. This track shares a trait with Portland Classic, I would say, in Halo 5, where it's got the turns 1 and 2, right? Your normal, like, oval turn. And then you got 3 and 4, which are more like a Brickyard, like Indy 500, like a square-ish turn. So that makes this, that's part of like what makes this track unique, and it works because both the turns are quite different, but they both work pretty well for World of Outlaw. So like turns 1 and 2 is a turn where if you look at how wide this track is and how crazy the banking is, you can really like slide into the apex of that first turn 1 and 2. You saw me do it a couple laps ago. You can really like slide all the way down from the outside. I kind of do. It's going to be hard for me to show with my hands. Maybe you'll see one of us do it during one of these laps. Again, if you go back, I did it a few laps ago. We watched it, but it's like you start up at the wall and you slide down. I'm kind of doing it on this turn too, because you can also kind of do it in 3 and 4. But you start up at the wall, you like slide down, like hit that apex perfectly, and then just like go right back up to the top and like ride the momentum perfectly. And it's really fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun. So if we do make this one, I hope we can make it feel the same, because that shit was really fun. And then 3 and 4 is just great. The Brickyard like square type corner is perfect for crossovers, and this World of Outlaw Drift Series racing was all about the crossover battles and stuff like that. And I think I'm gonna go for it here. Here you go. You can see what I'm talking about. Yep, just swoop it down. Feels great. Feels great. And it just gives you the track's like really wide, but there's a reason for it, right? You can, if you get stuck in a battle, you can go wide and you can like get some extra room to set up those moves to get those crossovers. It's really fun. It was a great battle track, and if you go back and watch the races on this track, that's basically what it is. It's just constant crossovers, constant battling. Now that I look at it, this track also kind of reminds me of Whitewater, actually, and MCC a little bit. I mean, the objects are different and the turns are different, but like the way it works with the banking and the swooping and the crossovers, it kind of reminds me of that too. So I can kind of see a little bit of a comparison there as well. But that being said, still definitely different than Whitewater. Definitely still unique in its own right. And yeah, again, if you get bored, this is an old set of races that I would recommend watching. These were a hell of a lot of fun. I know everybody in this lobby had a really good time. Oh, Jared, shout out Jared. He's back for this one too. I just saw him at the bottom there. But yeah, so racing on this track, hell of a lot of fun. Love the crossovers, love the line choice, love how wide open it is. You know, a lot of problems, or a problem with a lot of tracks is, you know, some of the tracks that we've been racing recently, especially like Halo 5, I mean, hell, we've been doing go-kart, right? So obviously a lot of those tracks are pretty tight. And then TRS, we just did Snowy Scrubs, not pretty tight as well, not a lot of room. This track, not like that at all, not like that at all. You shouldn't feel claustrophobic on this track. I mean, look, you could probably go like 8 wide. You could probably go like 8 wide on the straightaway, legitimately, on this track. There's so much room to work with. There's so much room. Track is super wide open, plenty of room to breathe. plenty of places to go around the track. Try to climb it. Try to get that momentum so you can like swoop down, get those runs, shit like that. It's a fun track. It's a fun track. I really like this one. Definitely wouldn't be surprised if I end up remaking this one, because this is like low key one of my favorite tracks of all time. Obviously, particularly for World of Outlaw, but just like in general, this race was really fun. This track was really fun. Might have to give a go at remaking this one. Now Triple B. Triple B is another one that Triple B was pretty good as well. I wouldn't say that I like it as much as these other few like top contenders that we've shown here. So like Springfield, which we'll get to after Triple B, Glen Alpine and Respell. Like those are definitely above this track in my list, but this track would probably be like right below those tracks as far as these old World of Outlaw tracks goes. That I would like to potentially remake or remaster. And I want to say there was another one too, but I can't. I might have to go back and take a look at my channel quick on the side here while we watch some laps on Triple B and see if I can find it. Because I want to say there was another track. Maybe there wasn't a video on it, but there was another track that Matt made that was pretty good, and I want to look at it, but I don't see it in my list here. So I'm going to try to look for that on the side while we look at Triple B and talk about it. So Triple B, the thing with Triple B is, if you remember Grizzly Raceway that we've raced in Halo 5. Ooh, I found it. Well, that was quick. I found the other track. Awesome. Okay, so keep that on the side for now. So if you remember Grizzly Raceway from Halo 5, it may not look like it just looking at it here, but this track is actually, well, there's a few tracks that I took inspiration for Grizzly, but this is one of them. I wanted Grizzly to be like kind of a mix of this track and Big Bear, which is a track that Edward made back on Reach. So that was the inspiration for Grizzly. I took inspiration from this track, which this track I made, and that Big Bear track. And if you watch it for a little bit, you can kind of see, I think, if you're familiar with Grizzly, I think you can kind of see that it was inspired by it, even though they're pretty different tracks. I think you can kind of like get the idea for where I'm coming from with that. But obviously this track is quite a bit different. So like for one, it seems like with this track, the straightaways are pretty wide open, right? Like yeah. There's more room to work with in the straightaways, right? But one thing that makes this track unique is that those straightaways are kind of wide open, but they also like kind of tighten up in the turns. So that's something that you don't really see too often in Halo tracks, and kind of what I was making a comment with that tangent earlier, like 10 minutes ago, when I was talking about like not making tracks perfect and whatever. Something that I want to experiment more with in my own tracks, and maybe see other people experiment more with it as well, is something that I did do with this track, which is switching up the dimensions, right? Like you don't have to make the entire track so that it fits like one block, where it's like, okay, this block, this particular like 2x4 or whatever it is, where it's like, okay, the whole track is going to like fit this dimension, right? You don't really have to do that. Sometimes you can make tracks more interesting by having sections of tracks be tighter or be wider. Mix it up, and you know, depending on what you're going for with a certain section, mix it up, and you know, keep drivers on their toes, keep things interesting. So that's something that I want to experiment with more. I feel like I've done it before, but I feel like I don't do it enough. I don't want to like overdo it, but I feel like it's something that has its place in certain tracks, and something that I definitely want to do more of. So, and as you can see, that's something that is the case here, right? Those straightaways, you could tell with the walls, like the straightaways kind of like widen out the track a little bit. And it might even be different depending on the turn. Like I think 1 and 2 here, it might even be different depending on the turn too, honestly. I don't know. It's hard to tell now. Like you could tell that the entrance of that turn, it kind of like turns in, but then it widens up a little bit too. I don't know. Point is, mess with the track dimensions, stuff like that. It might even be wider in the turns, because the walls. So as you can see, those walls, that's what we did for a lot of these World of Outlaw tracks. That's a good idea. We should do that as well. So a lot of these World of Outlaw tracks, eventually, like, we just got annoyed with the outside walls, like with how easy it was in World of Outlaw to make these moves where you're sliding up the track and it's just like like crossovers, like it's just the whole part of it. That's how battles go all the time. And the point is, you're sliding up the track a lot, right? You're sliding up the track, and a lot of the times there'll be people there. There'll be people there, and you're sliding people up the track, and there's just a lot of contact with the walls, right? So having the normal walls was getting kind of annoying. Just being punted into them and just having like constant cautions. So our solution was we just did the curved walls. We basically just made a lot of the tracks no wall in a way, right? That's essentially what it was, because the walls were curved and they basically became part of the track that you could rail, basically just an extra degree of banking. But it worked, and I think it made a lot of tracks more enjoyable. So another interesting thing here. But yeah, so there's Triple B. You can see the different degrees of banking, how the turns are like kind of interesting. Like it's like the turn, the turn entry and the turn exit on this track seem to be really tight, but then the middle, yeah, you can kind of tell like right here with this caution lineup how the turn is unique on this track. It's like the entry is really tight, right, and then it just kind of like goes for a little bit, and then like the exit's like kind of tight too, so it's a little bit different, right? A lot of people make oval turns, again, making things perfect and yada yada yada. You know, like okay, it'll be 15 degrees, so 15, 15, 15, 15, right? And it's just like a gradual turn. That's what makes this one unique. It's not a gradual turn. It's like a sharp turn in, goes, and then sharp turn out. A little different. So there's Triple B. Definitely another one that I'll be looking at. So before we get to Springfield, here we go. I found it. Oh man, Matt made some other, man, I wish I had videos. I gotta look again. I gotta see if there's videos. Matt made 2 other really fucking good World of Outlaw tracks, and I really hope that there's footage of them, because they are fantastic, and it's gonna be really disappointing if we don't have footage for them. But while I'm looking for that, we got Boston Speedway here, which is another Matt track. I really like Boston Speedway. You can already tell, just like compare this track to like Beaver Dam, which we looked at earlier. This one is so much more like cleanly forged, but it's still got its own like unique character to it. It seems like it's just 1 degree of banking. It's got a little bit of mix up with the objects that he uses here, and then also like the turns are kind of interesting. Is this track like a bit of a tri-oval too? I don't even remember that. Is it like a triangle? Let's see. Yeah, so we got the straight front stretch here, and then we got like the wide open turns 1 and 2, and then yeah, on the back stretch, yeah, it's like almost like kind of like a little mini Pocono in a way. It's kind of got that Pocono type style to it. So there you go. That's another thing that makes this track stand out and unique compared to the other ones. Man, I really hope I'm able to find Matt's other tracks, because the other 2 that I haven't shown yet are his best, and I really hope I can find videos on them. I'm gonna be so disappointed if there's not. But yeah, so Boston, I remembered the name of this track, and I remembered this track being fun and unique, and I couldn't remember why. But now, looking at the video here, it's quite obvious, right? It's quite obvious. This layout is very different. Yeah, and it's like a really subtle turn too. It's not like full Pocono, you know what I mean? Like, it's like just a little subtle like tri-oval on the backstretch. It's interesting. And again, like the 1 degree of banking, that's something that doesn't, you know, get utilized too often. Most of the time I make or at least for me personally, most of the time I make an oval now. Do the 2 degrees of banking, but something that makes this one a little bit different. You got just the 1 degree of banking all the way throughout. It's a pretty cool track. Maybe we'll look into this one too. Interesting. Okay. So we'll look at a couple more laps of Boston here. I'm kind of acting like that because I'm learning about it too. Oh man, is there no footage of this track? Okay, please tell me there's footage of the other one then. Okay, so one of them that I don't have footage for. Fuck, I don't have footage for either of them. Oh, that's so sad. Okay, so on the bright side, for one of them I do have, for some reason, I have like 3 Halo 4 tracks saved to my file share on MCC. I don't know why. And for some reason, one of those tracks that I wish I had footage of here is one of those tracks. So I won't be able to show it in this video, but I will be able to look at it on MCC to remake it. I don't know if it's like visible in my files, but if any of you guys want to look, I think it's shared again. I'm not 100% sure. It's Halo 4. It's Eldora Speedway, Eldora Raceway. I think it's Speedway. But yeah, Eldora. So if you want to see it for yourself, it might be on my shared files in MCC. I don't know. I know I have it on there, though. I know I have it on there. It's unfortunate. The other one is Knoxville, and I'm really disappointed that we don't have video, at least that I could find, of Knoxville, because that is Matt's best track. I swear we have a video of it. I don't know. But that is Matt's best track. Like, Knoxville is really cleanly forged, great racing. It's not like, there's nothing like too crazy about it. It's a pretty straightforward oval, but it's just really well forged. Like, the degrees of banking just work really well for like the crossovers and competitive battles and overall racing. And I'm gassing it up for a reason. Like, I think I think Knoxville is as good as the Whitewater track that he's made in MCC. I think it's his best track. So really disappointed we don't have footage of that one. That's really sad, but what are you gonna do? Maybe one day I'll find it. So after all that, here we are, last track to look at for this video. So this one, Springfield. So Springfield is another one of my tracks, and this one is, as you can tell, this one was made a lot later compared to some of my other forges. Like, you can tell this one's just like a lot cleaner. It's not perfect. I still think I'd do a better job on this today, but it's definitely the improvement from this compared to that first track that I said was mine. I think it was this one, or I might have even closed the video out because I was so ashamed. Yeah, this one, like, you could tell, like, the Springfield compared to this track, man, it's incredible. It's incredible. This track is so much better. But this is another track that just raced really well. Like, the degrees of banking, how they are mixed up with each other. The short track style too. The corners are really long. You can tell the corners are really long in this track. Like, you spend the vast majority of this of your time on this track drifting. That's probably my favorite part of this track, is that a contentious part of the World of Outlaw racing for a lot of people was, you know, the drift zones and like letting off the drift too early or whatever, and, you know, that whole ruling and yada yada yada. Well, the nice thing about this track is that you're drifting almost the entire time anyways, right? The part where you're off the drift, look at how short the straightaway is. It's ridiculous. The straightaway is like 2 blocks. I mean, it's technically 3, but like lengthwise, I mean, look at it. 2.5, like, it's hardly anything. The straightaway is so short on this track. So you spend the vast majority of your time drifting on this one, and that's really nice because, again, you don't have to worry about that, like, when you're letting off the drift or whatever, as much on this track, because there's such a little amount of time where you're off the drift anyways, right? Like, whoever's faster on this track, it's not going to come down to something like that. It's going to come down to whoever's, like, taking the corners better, whoever's hitting those apexes better, battling better, that type of stuff. So that is something, again, that I really like about this track. The vast majority of the time that you're on the track, you're in the turns. Why is everybody shooting? What is going on? Want to see some more battling. What is going on? Okay, so there we go. I don't know. Really good for battles, and you can see me running on the outside here too. It's a 2-lane track. Like, the inside's pretty good, but you can see me working it here. You can get some speed around the outside too. Like, the balancing was really good here. The balancing, this might be the most well-balanced, I would say. Just pure, like, no crossovers factored in, just pure inside versus outside. This might be one of the most well-balanced World of Outlaw tracks that we made, I think. I mean, just look at this battle that me and Dark Shadows are having right now in 1 and 2, inside and outside. Like, it's such a good competitive side-by-side battle, and we're both getting good runs and bad runs on the inside and the outside. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun to race, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, just the way the turns were built, it just worked out so well for the balancing, and it's a really good track. It's a really good track. I gotta gas myself up on this one. I actually think this one was really good, and just like it just hey, iPod got online. That's a throwback. It just fits the World of Outlaw series really well. You know, it's got what you want out of a World of Outlaw track. The corners are like long and windy, right? You're in the drift for a long time. It's got the multiple degrees of banking, which is usually something that you want. It's got those, you're not bogging, right? You're like full speed around the whole track. Like, it's really smooth with the turns. Pretty good balance, pretty good balance. There's decent balance in the lines. You can run inside, you can run outside, you could work them both. You could get crossovers going. It's a pretty good track. It's a pretty good track. So as you can tell, I really like this one. This is definitely one that I want to either just straight up remake this or try to make a track inspired by this, because this one was a hell of a lot of fun to race on. This was easily one of my favorite World of Outlaw races that we've done, by far. And as a little surprise at the end, let me see if I can find it real quick. I wasn't going to include this track because it kind of like goes without saying with how many different frickin' versions of this track that we've made. But fuck it, we're at the end of the video, and it's already, oh shit, we got another one too. Holy shit, hold up. We, searching for this other track, I have just, chanced upon finding a different track, as well, that I forgot about. I can't talk, dude, it's too, I'm recording this at 2:30 a.m. I'm probably gonna go to bed right after this. I can't fucking talk anymore. Look at this. I found some more tracks. Hold up. Wait a second. This might go on a bit longer. I found some other ones that I forgot about. Well, how about that? How about that? Are there any other ones? Looks like that might be it. But yeah, I found some other tracks. So that's awesome. Completely by accident, I have now found a few other World of Outlaw tracks that I have forgotten about that should definitely be shown in this video. So let's go. All right, so that's it for Springfield. Love this track. Definitely looking forward to. I'll remake it for sure. So let's start with one of these first. We'll leave the big guns last. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but if you don't have to think about it too hard. If you thought about it, you'll know what the last track I'm going to show is. We'll save that one for last. So let's take a look at this one, because I don't really remember this one. So I don't know if Matt made this or if I made this. I remember it, I think, now that I look at it. I don't remember which one of us made this track, but we made an Eagle River oval. I feel like I made this, or maybe even Slaunch, because look, there's ruts. Like, this is experimental. This is borderline experimental. That should be, I gotta make that a sound alert. I gotta make that a sound alert. This is borderline experimental, this track. Holy shit, camera. You fucking focus? Now, this is interesting. I don't think we ever did a race on this, but this is interesting. Look at this. This is something that I would like to experiment with again. We got ruts on the track. We got a fucking oval that's rutted up on the inside. Look at all those rocks. Look at that shit. I haven't run a single lap in those. I've only ran the outside looch, you dumbass. That is what's unique about the track. Get down there. Run that shit. Yes! Oh, I fucked it up, but hopefully I'll get a good lap of it here soon. But so yeah, this track, this Eagle River, look at this. There's like bumps, there's ruts. I mean, this is what I was talking about, right? I want to see shit like this. I want to see people experiment with stuff like this more often. Unfortunately, I don't think we ever raced this track, but I mean, this is cool. This is cool. This is definitely something different. Maybe it was just like, maybe we were just having a hard time with the balancing, but yeah, this is interesting. So instead of trying to balance out the lines in like traditional ways, we decided to balance out the lines by trying to make it feel like a real life dirt track almost, with like rutted up inside and making it a little bumpy down there too, whereas you get that smooth cushion on the outside. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, this is actually, I'm glad I found this, because I don't remember this track at all. Well, now that I see it, but beforehand I didn't think about this track at all, but now that I see it, I remember this. And yeah, it's unfortunate that we never got to try this, because it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting. Now this is kind of inspiring me. This is actually kind of inspiring me. This might be the next thing that I try to make, because this is actually quite interesting. Huh. Can I run some more laps in the damn ruts, please? Can I run like a straight up inside lap? Holy shit, Luch. Stop running the outside, you fucker. So yeah, here's the Eagle River Oval. That's what makes it unique. And I wish we got to race it. I wish I could look at a footage of a race on it. Dude, run the inside, you fucking idiot. It's what makes it unique. Run the fucking inside. You absolute dunce. Oh my god, I'm just gonna keep running the outside, aren't I? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, you saw me try it for like a lap or two. I wish I tried it for more. But yeah. Cool experiment. I would like to see this experimented with and see if we could make it like a good version of a track like this and make it race well. I think that'd be really awesome. So, there we go. And now... I love the Hades soundtrack. This is another track that you may recognize the name. Right away, I'm going to say it. This track is going to look... If you know the Angel Park Speedway from Halo 5, this track is different. It's the same name. This track is different. So if you look it up in real life, or look up any of my videos on my old channel, I'm sure you can find a video on it. Angel Park Speed, or just look it up on YouTube. Angel Park Speedway. It's a real life. It's a dirt oval IRL that is pretty close to where I'm at, and it's a classic track. It's a classic track in Wisconsin. It's like one of the most famous dirt tracks, maybe in the U.S. as a whole, but definitely in Wisconsin. There's a lot of history there. If they have like a really cool like Hall of Fame type thing, there's shit where, like, for example, I think you guys will recognize this name. A little driver called Jeff Gordon raced there. So shit like that. And there's other examples of other drivers that have done races there too. It's not just him, but that's like a big one that sticks out to me. Like I think he has like a plaque there or something. It's a really cool track. It's fucking awesome. And I tried to make a version of it here. I didn't do a great job. Not gonna lie. Yeah. I'm gonna give it another go. This might be what I try to make next, because this is like I'm still in my shit phase at forging here. Like I'm still ass. I wasn't at my Halo 4 part of my forging phase where I was like decent. I was still totally shit here. So this track just did not turn out that good, which sucks because it's an awesome track IRL, and I think that it would be fucking awesome for World of Outlaw in Halo as well, if a good version of it was made. So, you know what? I just made up my fucking mind. I think this is what I'm going to try to make next. I think this is the track that I'm going to give a go. So, wish me luck. I'm going to try to make a better version of this. Hopefully it's not shit this time. Yeah, hopefully it's not shit. But you can see the idea though. Like a flat, it's mostly like a flat track. It's got like a flat inside. But the idea is like you got the flat and slippery inside, whereas the outside you've got that cushion that you can really like hook into and just like rail around the track. That's kind of the idea, right? That's kind of the idea. I just didn't do a great job of executing it. Fuck it. You know what? I said the thing about why don't I just show a lap of it in real life? Why not? Wow, the first thing that showed up, the first suggested search was deaths. Fucking deaths. No, YouTube, I do not want to see that. I just want to see somebody race a fucking lap on the track. You assholes. That is not what I want to see. I'm not morbid. Yeah, so here you can watch some laps of it. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. This track is pretty sweet. I should try to find like an onboard. I'll probably look for it in my own time, but I'm just going to show a little clip of it here. But yeah. Pretty cool track, but as you can see, it's definitely got some banking. So I'm gonna go about it a little bit differently than I did when I try to remake it, because it's definitely got some, you know what I mean? It's not like completely flat like I tried to do it. It's definitely got some slight banking, but as you can see, you can definitely see it here when they go into 1 and 2. You can definitely see like how wide it is and how it's a pretty low banking on the inside, but they got some high ass banking on the outside, and you can see like that red car right here, 1 and 2. We'll see if they do it. We'll see if they do 3 and 4. They do it as well, but we'll see if they do it again in 1 and 2. Especially in turns 1 and 2, you can really fucking rip around that outside when the track has been prepped pretty well. Yeah, you can see him going for it again. It's pretty sick. But yeah, that's kind of how the track is, and the turns are a little bit different too. Like you can tell, turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 definitely are not the same. It's kind of got the vibe of that track we looked at earlier, where like 1 and 2 is like a really tight turn, 3 4 is a little more wide open. It's kind of got like that same style. Also, the guardrail they removed it. So I don't remember when that happened. It happened a few years ago. But as you can see, when I made this track, look at it. There's a guardrail on the inside. That used to be one of the most famous parts of the track. This video is from 2021. Holy shit, this is new. Fairly new. This is probably like the last race that they did there. Honestly, September. It very realistically could have been. As of now, probably start racing up again soon. That fucking bush light sign, I just saw that. That just made me lose full. What the fuck? I'm not gonna be able to finish this video. That just completely made me lose full. What the fuck is that? Bush light. I just lost full. So yeah, it's a freaking sweet track. Interesting. Yeah. So when I made the track on Halo, you saw that guardrail. Not a thing anymore. Not a thing anymore. They got rid of it. So that's interesting. That used to be like one of the defining characteristics of this track. And then in the recent like last 5 years or so, they got rid of it. But pretty cool track. I want to try to do it justice in Halo. I think it's the next one that I'm going to try to make. All right, let's close out this video. We've already went on pretty long. I'm getting close to the end of this Hades soundtrack video. I did not want to reach the end of it, but we're getting pretty close to it. So let's close this shit out. One more track. Who would have thought what it could be? Well, if you thought Chili Bowl, like any reasonable human being would have thought. Congratulations for thinking of it. Yes, it's Chili Bowl, so watch some laps of Chili Bowl. I'm taking a drink. I came prepared with 2 drinks because I knew I was going to go through the entire first one. This track's fucking awesome. So, we went through different, we've obviously went through, you know, various different versions of the Chili Bowl track. Halo, starting with Halo 4, starting with here in Halo 4. Oh, look at that. In the bottom, you can see the game type is HRL Fan Faves. You're right, it is. But it all started with this track, right? So we did a few different versions of it in Halo 5. I even made the Chili Dome, the Chili Dome in MCC. Well, this is where it all started right here, was Matt's fucking magnum opus, I don't know, some phrase, here on Halo 4. And this is actually a pretty early track that he made. This is like one of the first tracks that he made, but he did a really good job with it. He did a really good job with it. This track was fun as hell to race. It had good line balance. The inside, the outside, they're both good. It was tricky. It's a nice little like short track. I really like short tracks as far as ovals go. I know people have like their different preferences, but for me, I've always really liked short tracks. This one just has that, it's got that like short track vibe to it, which is really cool. It's fast as hell for the fact that you're drifting around these corners and how small the track is. It's really fucking fast. It may not like completely show in the video, but it feels like you're flying around this place. And it is a hell of a lot of fun. It's great for battling. I would love to do like a solid remake of this and do like the Chili Bowl instead of our like Chili Dome. I would love to try to remake the OG Chili Bowl in MCC and see if we could do a race on it. That'd be fucking awesome. If we could come close to, you know, replicating how this track raced, then I think we'll be big chillin' if we can just like come close to it. But yeah, this track, hell of a lot of fun to race. That's why we did so many races there. It was just a great time. I love how the lines even out. I love the crossovers. I love that crazy outside wall that we have in this version where we made the wall like runnable and like basically part of the track. You could get crazy outside runs with that. I mean, you see NJD doing it right there. Right there, you saw it. It was almost like cushion. Like what NJD just did in 3 and 4, that was basically like cushion before we had the cushion. In Halo 5, the way you could run this outside wall in 3 and 4, you could just get these crazy ass runs, and it was fucking awesome. So, yeah. It's a really cool track. It's a really cool track. And that's why it's definitely one of the HRL historic tracks, right? Like if we did like a top 5, top 10 like all-time historic HRL tracks, this one's top 5. No questions asked. I guarantee this. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. This track's top 5. Easy top 5. And it's probably in the top 3. It's probably in the top 2. But seriously though, it's really high up. It's really high up there. So yeah, I think that's going to close it out for this video. Love this OG Chili Bowl. Definitely think I'll have a go at trying to do this one as well. And you know, we'll try to like get some of these old tracks for nostalgia's sake, and also because they're good, and if we could do a good job of remaking them, then there we go. You know, why stress over trying to create a whole new layout when we've got a good ass track? Let's just copy it over best that we can, try to emulate it in the new game. Can't really say MCC's new anymore, and you know, go from there. Why work harder when we could work smarter? And then once we get like these classic tracks that we know we liked transferred over, you know, once we get them remade and shit, then we could like go and think about like some new ideas, some new concepts and stuff that we could try for like World of Outlaw tracks. And I'm sure other people that raced are, I mean, I think I already had a few people say like, oh, okay, if we're gonna race this, like, can we make a track? So I think there's already a couple people that are like interested in, you know, making a World of Outlaw track for this new side series that we're doing, and that's fucking awesome. I definitely encourage you guys to do that if you're thinking about it. So I think that's gonna do it for me. This was a cool little blast from the past, little deep dive into these old World of Outlaw tracks, and you know, getting to watch little snippets of the races here too. A lot of great memories here, a lot of nostalgia. It was a good time, and the two World of Outlaw races that we've done so far, the one that we've kicked off our series with, and the Grand Finals one so far, have done a pretty good job of bringing that feeling back for me and bringing that nostalgia. And I'm sure it's not just me. Like, well, there's only so many racers that also did World of Outlaw. I know Armada did a couple World of Outlaw races back in the day. He did a few. I know Slaunch obviously did quite a few. And Jared did as well. So I'm sure if you asked those drivers, I guarantee you they would say the same thing that I did, that it really, like, that these races have really brought back that feeling. And it's a really fun series, man. It was a really fun series. World of Outlaw is like one of the more, it's like one of the most unique series. It's like, when I think of HRL, for me, it's one of the first things that I think of. I know it's not the case for everybody else with like our H5 era, but if you missed out what we did in Halo 4, then you wouldn't even know about it, because seriously, like, World of Outlaw is one of the first things that I think of when I think of HRL. It's like one of the series that like made us unique. And it's a hell of a lot of fun, and I'm glad we're doing it again. So I'm glad that the two races that we've done so far have brought back that feeling, and I hope that the series continues to do it. So final closing notes for this video, as we'll watch some more laps on Chili Bowl here. If you have an inspiration for a track for the series, make it. I'll have this World of Outlaw side series as long as people want to keep racing it and keep racing these tracks. I'll, you know, throw them on. I think I'll cap it at 12 though. I'll probably cap it at 12. Music's done. That's my cue. GG's. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a little blast from the past, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully on some new. Oh, it just auto-played. Okay. Hopefully on some new World of Outlaw tracks. So next week, or sorry, I should say like this weekend, we are racing EXO. I think EXO is what we're racing. So I'll try to get it up on my files. I know that we raced it in the fall season, and it was pretty decent. So hopefully it's a pretty good race, and hopefully the World of Outlaw stuff that we're doing on MCC keeps being fun and bringing back that good old feeling like it has been so far. So see you guys next time. And to anybody that tuned in this far, the video, appreciate you, love you. Say, what should you type in the comments? If you made it this far, type in the comments, Justin Baker is the best Italian sub chef of all time, and come back, I miss you. There you go. That's a good one. All right, put that in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.